Hello, I'm Ashley Bennett, and I am a Sigma architect at Aimpoint Digital. Today, I'm going to walk you through the solution for week 52 of this year's Workout Wednesday for Sigma. Everyone is busy this time of year, so we're going to keep it simple and experiment with some newer UI elements in Sigma. Headers and nav bars. Let's get started.
I'm going to add this data. I am going to add a table element, and I actually want to add a connection from the Sigma sample database, and we're just going to use the Plugs Electronics hands-on lab data. And this will be our base data table. To this, I want to create two calculated columns using the ragged hierarchy function. And we're going to use this later to create some filters that will basically combine several different columns. So I'm going to add a new column right here, and I'm just going to call this product. And we're going to use the ragged hierarchy function to combine product type, family, line. Let's go ahead and add brand and product name. And then near store, we're also going to want to add a new column. And I'm going to call this store location using that ragged hierarchy. And this time I want to do region, state, city, zip, and then store name. And I also, to make this a little easier later, am going to actually add hierarchies using this plus button next to add column and clicking on manage hierarchies. I'm going to add a hierarchy for product. I'm going to name it slightly different so it's easier to tell what it is. And I am just going to add those same columns individually. Family, line, brand, and name. Great. And then one more, we're going to add the store location hierarchy and add region, state, city, zip, and store name. Excellent. Now I'm ready to create some visualizations. I am going to start with ones that I'm going to put on my product page. So I'm going to first create a child chart. I want to make this a horizontal bar chart because I like to use those for top-end graphs. And in my y-axis, I am going to add product type. And then in my x-axis, I'm going to add profit. And then I'm going to sort product type by profit descending. And then I'm going to create a drill down so that we can change what our y-axis is. And I am going to do that by clicking on UI, clicking on controls, and pulling that drill down up. And I want my value source to be our base data. And I'm going to add, no, that is not what I want, sorry. I'm going to add product type, product family, product line, brand, and name. And I'm going to give this a control ID of prod level. But I'm going to give it a more user-friendly name of display. What do I want to call this? Display most profitable by. That way end users know what they're adjusting. And then I also want to add a top end control, I'm going to do this on my profit column. I'm going to use Shift F to automatically create a filter. I am going to change the filter type to top N, but I also want users to be able to interact with it. So I'm going to convert this to a page control. I'm going to move it over here. And I don't want this to be called profit. First, I want the control ID to, again, be prod for product. And we're going to call this rank. And then I'm going to say most profitable, and I'm going to have a dynamic label here by hitting the equals sign. And I just want to refer to that prod level control. Let's select something. There we go. And then to make this read well, I'm just going to add that S because it should always be plural. Most profitable product families. Yeah. Great. And then I want to be sure that my things are targeting appropriately. I need to add targets to my drill down. So I'm going to target my bar chart. I'm going to be sure that, yep, we are automatically targeting the profit column there as expected. And now I'm going to container these three items because I'm always going to keep them together. I'm going to call this container the product bar chart, and that is good to go there. Now I want to also create a pivot table. I'm going to do this from my base data. I'm going to create a child pivot table. I'm going to drag it below my container because that's ultimately where I will want it. And in my pivot table, I am going to add our product hierarchy to pivot rows. And here we can use that product hierarchy. Yes. And I like to use the hierarchy here rather than that ragged hierarchy product that we created. So they'll be in separate columns. And that way it's easier to collapse and expand everything at once. Which is great. And now I want to add pivot columns. I'm just going to add month. So I'm going to add that date and then truncate that to month. And then let's go ahead and format that with our month year. So it looks a little prettier. And then I am going to add values. Again, we're just interested in profit on this workbook. And then I'm going to call this product profitability over time. And now I'm ready to create some controls that will impact both visualizations. First, I'm going to go to my base data table, and I am going to add a control for on date. Let's go ahead and convert that to a page control. Move it a little closer so it's easier to move over later. And yes, this I want to target the base data table because this will be our synced control across both sheets that we're going to create, or both pages. And then I also want to create a control on our product ragged hierarchy. I'm going to use Shift F to create a filter and then convert that to a page control. This one, I'm going to move down here as well. But this one, we only want to target what is going to be on our product page because we're going to also create a store page, and we don't want them to filter together in that case. So I'm going to adjust my targets. I don't want to target the base data table. I'm just going to target each element directly using that product column. Okay. Now I am going to put everything in its final form for the product page. I'm going to select all of my elements, and I'm going to move to a new page. Put myself over here. I'm going to call page 1 my data page, and I will hide this page. And this one I'm going to call product. I'm just going to call this product. And now I'm also going to add in a title. I'm going to give this a text element. Yeah, here we go. Let's just add this here. We'll add some more space. These controls don't need to be so large. And I like to use a medium heading of my text style, and we will call this, why are you, medium heading, thank you, product profitability. And now I like this page, great. I am ready to duplicate this and make a new page for stores. So because I want them to be so similar, I'm just going to duplicate and call this store and basically change a little bit of things. This will be store profitability. We do not want this because this also duplicated this control. We don't want that. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. What we do want is to create a synced copy here and then move this to our store page. I'm going to move this up here so it matches. Now when we select like current year, we will then see this year on both. We do not want product on the store page. We actually want this to be store location. So I will change our targets to target appropriately as well. And I like using the ragged hierarchy. So now in one control, we can have multiple different levels in a way that makes sense. So we can get all the way down to that very granular level if we want, or we could just filter at something higher. I love that kind of control. And now I am also going to update my bar chart. I'm going to, rather than use product type, I'm going to remove that, and I will add in my y-axis, let's do store region first, and then be sure to sort that appropriately. And let's update our drill categories to be our store location columns. So let's do state, city, zip, and name. And we want this to actually be called the store level. And then we select, let's make sure our targets are correct as well. Store state, okay, that should be good. Why are we not updating though? I'm going to just go ahead and re-add these. Profit by interesting. Okay. Okay, that's working. Great. And then I need to update this. I don't want this to be prod level. I want this to be store level. And I also want to change you to the store rank. We're prefixing our controls so that they're easy to determine what is what. And then this will actually be our store profitability. And I want to remove all of these columns from pivot rows. We're going to add in our store location hierarchy, and everything else should stay the same. And now we have our 2 pages that are visible. Let's go ahead and add in our header. I'm going to click away from all elements and go into workbook settings. Under workbook navigation, let's check a page header. And then we'll see this little bar pop up. And okay, and now that I have my header, I also want to be sure that I hide those page tabs in view mode. We'll confirm that this is what I want because they won't be able to move without a nav bar or some sort of actions, which we will be adding. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my header. We want to add an image. I'm just going to use a URL to add the Workout Wednesday logo, and then I am also going to add in a text element. I'm going to say, use again my medium heading. We're going to call this welcome. And then I'm going to use an equal to have dynamic text to find the current user first name to be a little bit more personable. Welcome Ashley to Workout Wednesday, week 52. Okay. And then if we wanted, we could even add a little tagline. Sure. That looks good to me. I can make this a little bigger. Arrange things how I want. And then the last thing I definitely need to do is add in my layout element, navigation bar. Let's make this as big as possible. And we'll see our tabs automatically show up because default is auto based on the visible tabs that you have in your workbook. And we could make them manual if we had other things we wanted to link to or anything like that. But we don't need to. And the other thing I wanted to point out in workbook settings, we could go to, where is it? No, in our header settings, if we just click on the header itself and no elements within it, you could change the style from sticky, which is when it stays up at the top, versus scroll, which means it will scroll with the page rather than be stuck there. I like sticky. And there are other formatting options if you like. And the last thing that I always like to do when I'm making a workbook is adjust those settings to be something a little bit more personable. I'm going to just change the colors this time. This matches our Workout Wednesday color theme a little bit better. And that's all that I want to do. After publishing, we can go to publish mode and we can see that the end user can only have access to those visible pages, much like they would without the header and nav bar. But we no longer have the tabs set at the bottom because we click that check bar. And it functions very much like a web page with the different pages at the top, and it looks all nice and pretty.
Wasn't that easy? I'll see you next time for more Sigma challenges.